Hello and welcome. I'm glad you're here. If you click this video, then I'm assuming you're interested in how you can find the best online learning sites to help you learn. Maybe you're a student and you want to augment your classroom lectures so that you can understand concepts better. Or maybe you're a teacher looking to resource your class. Or maybe you're a lifelong learner looking for new ways and places to learn. And the good news is that if you're in any one of these groups or all of them, there are some great places to learn online, many of which are free or low cost, some of which offer full degrees. In this video, I'm going to discuss a few of my personal favorite online learning websites and why I consider them to be worth your time to check out. Now, this video is far from being an exhaustive list because there's a lot of online learning sites out there, but there is a lot here in this video. And I do believe it's worth your time to watch this video to the end because you'll be left with a resource kit that I believe will serve you well in your learning activities. So I'll create chapter markers in the description below so you can see which platforms I'm going to discuss and find any specific one quite quickly, especially the second or third time you watch this video. So these sites represent some of my favorites and fall into a few categories. So first I'll discuss general community sites. Then I'll talk about some professional development sites, and then I'll move on to some sites that mimic or extend the more traditional academic environments. And then finally, I'll talk about a couple of sites with a more narrow focus of quality content within a smaller set of domains of knowledge. Now, I'm not going to go into the history of distance learning and remote education here, but I'll quickly discuss one question that I often get. Will these courses replace the traditional classroom? And the short answer to that is no. There have been distance education courses since the 1840s. So we're approaching over 200 years without any classrooms being closed down because of online learning. However, these courses can make online education more accessible. They can help students that are struggling by learning concepts in their own time. They can free up class time that's used for doing remedial learning and use that time instead to help students learn new concepts. We can offer micro skill development as part of a larger learning experience which extends beyond traditional classrooms and into the workplace. So those functions, I believe, are an absolute yes. We can do those things with online learning. And with some massively open online learning courses reporting completion rates of only 5 to 15%, it would be a bit premature to suggest that we'll no longer need the classroom experience. In fact, the graduation rate in my classroom experience courses is closer to 100% completion rate as opposed to the 5 or 15% for MOOCs, massively open online courses. But let's stay positive about the role of online learning and look at some platforms that are definitely there to help us learn online, no matter where we are, and in some cases, again, for free or at a vastly reduced cost. So the first platform is YouTube. It goes without saying that YouTube can be a great place to learn new things. In fact, I believe that's my cue to ask you to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. So I hope that you're learning things from this channel. There are channels like this one and others that seek to help you learn, discover, and improve your skill sets. And the content is free for the viewer, although you might have to watch the occasional advertisement, but the material is presented visually through video and often by experts in the field being discussed. There are some challenges to YouTube, of course. You can't be sure of the credentials of the person posting the content on YouTube, as it remains a pretty open, unedited content repository. Anyone can post a video as long as it doesn't violate YouTube's terms of service, which allows for some pretty broad content. And then, of course, because of the broad content, the other challenge with YouTube, especially if you use it in a hybrid classroom setting, is that there's a recommendation engine that seeks to keep you on the platform. So you or your students can soon find yourself watching a lot of potentially irrelevant content as you're being entertained instead of educated. So those cautions aside though, I have found that there are wonderful videos on YouTube that I can embed into my own teaching to assist students and myself in learning. Now, another community type of learning platform is called SkillShare. Now, first of all, this video is not sponsored by SkillShare, although I do have a course I created on SkillShare on the Microsoft Whiteboard Fundamentals and beyond. And I'll post my referral link in the description below if you want to try SkillShare out. It's a good platform. And it allows those with something that want to teach something to create a course that's a little more formalized. It's relatively an open platform. For example, I didn't have to go through a particularly difficult process to post my course there, but they do have guidelines and they do review your content for quality markers, but it's still a community-based teaching and learning site at its core. And SkillShare does add the element of student feedback, community activity, and project-based activities for their courses. So there's a deliverable. There's activities that occur around the learning. And there's a relatively short time commitment to each course as well. So you can go in, it's more than watching a single video on YouTube, but it's often from 1 to 8 hours at the very most in terms of how long it takes you to learn that particular topic that's being taught on Skillshare. And it seems to focus a little more on creative and personal productivity topics, but there's a wide range of courses to take on Skillshare, and its pricing model is a flat fee. So it's all you can learn model, which makes it a very inexpensive way to learn some great skills. In many cases, these skills can help you with other learning. So things like study skills to help you succeed at traditional school, or business skills, little skills that often are lever skills, I call them, because they can be used as leverage to learn other skills. So I like Skillshare, and it's a great place to just hop onto the site, learn something new during an afternoon break or a study block, or on the weekend if you're so inclined. And maybe one day they'll even sponsor one of my videos, which would be very cool. So those are community-based sites. We also have workplace learning. And there's a number of sites that can be used for workplace learning. One that I like is LinkedIn Learning. Now, we're at a newer category of learning resources here, because if YouTube and Skillshare are more community-based learning, then the next couple of places I'll talk about are more workplace and individual learning. First, we have LinkedIn. The social/business networking site added a learning component to the site a few years ago, where they offer different courses to help you succeed in your professional development. Topics such as how to prepare a resume, how to project confidence, presentation and project management skills. These were all offered on the site as a way to help build up individual skills that could be leveraged into your professional career. And then the company itself, LinkedIn, was purchased by Microsoft. And subsequent to that, they purchased another online learning site called lynda.com. And the lynda.com site had a huge library of courses on skills around using computer applications, professional skills as well, and even some lifestyle skills. So the number of courses available on LinkedIn Learning grew substantially. And they're a bit stricter in the curation of their courses, but there is the ability for specialists to come in and create content for the platform as well. So you'll see a lot of really compelling content there on LinkedIn Learning. They also have a badge system. So they have badges for the completion of a course, which can then be placed on your professional profile within LinkedIn, and you can see that on the platform. So there's an element of skill marketing that you can take and complete the course and then demonstrate that completion on their platform. So at the very least, completing some courses on LinkedIn Learning demonstrates to potential employers and contacts and contracts that you're a lifelong learner, which is always identified as a critical skill that employers are looking for. So these courses are very short in duration, and you can often get free access through a local library or your employer, and there's some great content there. Now, that brings me to workplace learning by vendors. So for example, another site that's really good is Microsoft Learn. Now, most software vendors have learning sites to help you gain skills with their products. And I won't go through many of them. There are many out there. You can just look at the website of your favorite developer and search for learning or training. Some of them will have video-based courses. Some of them will have text tutorials. However, few of them will be quite as good as Microsoft Learn. It's a very good site. This site is specific to Microsoft products, but it offers some pretty compelling content for free. If you're working with Microsoft software, and many people are, then this site offers a series of courses to help you. Most of them are pretty technical and aimed at those that are supporting technology in the workplace or doing more advanced things with technology, but there is a wide range of courses that are not only there to help you develop skills, but also align those skills to various IT certifications. So for example, in the data courses I teach, I often use the Learn site to help students grasp concepts and get additional practice with the technology so that they have the ability to reinforce the learning that takes place in the classroom. Now, the site offers badges, trophies, and it links to your Microsoft profile. So you end up getting points as you take the courses. And the huge benefit is that some of the technical and cloud computing courses that are available on the site will create a sandbox environment to let you practice those hands-on skills. Now, instead of having to buy a subscription for cloud services, which can actually add up over time, especially if you're learning, you now get a free sandbox that you can work with through Microsoft Learn. Now, I can't predict the future of these sites, but I can make some educated guesses around it, especially with Microsoft owning LinkedIn, and with the new abilities of Microsoft Teams to track, manage, and suggest learning for career development. I can see a future where learning becomes integrated into the workplace, and part of your job will be to learn 30, 60, or more minutes per week and maintain and improve your skills. Your HR department and managers will be able to see what you've taken. You'll be able to see a recommended set of what you should take next. And so we now start getting into a more prescriptive type of learning environment where you start getting even AI involved to suggest what skills you should learn next. And this is actually something I did my master's thesis on, so it's a very near and dear to my heart. So Microsoft is well positioned with LinkedIn, Microsoft Learn, and the Microsoft Teams environment to create that managed workplace learning environment. And I think that if we look at traditional academics where you go to school for a degree, and then we look at continuing education where you learn more, well, it's very interesting to see workplace learning come into play. Now, the other style of learning we have are massively open online learning courses. And these seek to be more like a traditional academic environment. The courses are longer, often running over 4 to 8 weeks with a start time and an end time. The material itself is wide-ranging. It's often provided by established schools, colleges, and universities, even including some of the top-tier schools in the world. So first up for this type of environment would be Coursera. I have a soft spot for Coursera because it's one of my favorite online learning portals, and I've taken quite a number of their courses. I was even a course mentor for one of their courses back when they had that. They don't have course mentors now, but there is a community based upon each course where you interact and answer questions and such. And their catalog of courses reads more like what you'd expect at a traditional college environment. They offer courses in science, information technology, humanities and the arts, plus much, much more. They even offer degree and certificates from accredited institutions. So the courses they offer can range in price because they offer some free courses or courses that are on trial or courses that you can get a scholarship to take for free, but they also offer degrees. And those degrees can run thousands of dollars, much like a traditional degree. So the schools that run on their platform are all often quite impressive. So these courses are much more formal in terms of the content, the providers providing that content and the instruction, but it's delivered in a manner that allows for global participation and allows you to participate in learning on your own schedule. So despite the costs and the commitment, this remains one of my favorite places to visit when I want to go deep into a topic and learn online. Another site that I've been playing around with is Udemy. So Udemy is an interesting site that has a large catalog of courses that you can buy one at a time as you wish. And generally they go on sale quite frequently. So you can go in and you can buy a course sometimes for $15 or $29. Courses are $200. So there's a range in price. They market themselves also as a business solution. So a company could go in and buy a license for their employees. But while it isn't a site that I've done a lot of courses on, I have taken a couple and I enjoyed them quite a bit. They have a lot of range in terms of subject, in terms of time commitment, and in terms of cost. In my case, I like their selection of financial courses. And I'm currently working on one around financial analysis, and I'm also working on a couple of their courses on AWS, Amazon Web Services. And when you complete those courses, there's a certificate involved as well, so you can demonstrate that you've taken that training. Another online learning website that mimics the traditional academic environment is edX. This site has some very well-known universities providing their contents. Harvard, MIT, Stanford, courses from IBM. And these topics, again, are wide-ranging. And in my case, I specifically like some of the IBM content on this site. That's where I can most easily find the IBM content that I'm looking for. Well, it doesn't have the number of courses that you'd find on some of the other sites. The topics are often very interesting and very deep. You might find courses here that you just can't find elsewhere. So edX is another great site that I recommend for anybody looking for the more traditional academic style of online learning. Now, the next few sites are a little more focused on specific areas of learning. Rather than a large, diverse basket of courses, these websites tend to be a little bit more focused on one area. Now, first is one of my favorites as well, CreatveLive. This site was one of the first ones that I discovered when I was learning photography. They offer courses in photography, video production, money, art, design, music, crafts, creative pursuits. As their name suggests, they have a focus on those. I've taken courses on photography. I've gone through some camera walkthroughs off the site, all of which impressed me for their quality and the completeness of the course. Again, as their name suggests, they also have live classes, which I think is unique. Although I've never personally attended one of their live classes, when I took my photography course, they had an actual classroom with students in it. And that was an interesting take on the process. I think it added a huge amount of value. It might just be psychological, but seeing people sitting there actually had a really positive effect on my own motivation. It was only a few people that were in the studio, but it still felt more like they were doing something live instead of just recording something and showing it. Now, this being said, I watched the recording of the live event. Kind of interesting, but it still felt a little bit more authentic. And the course I took didn't offer a certificate, but that really wasn't the nature of the course. It's more about learning skills for yourself, for example, photography or videography, whatever the case may be. And there was one element that I did find quite powerful within CreatveLive called the student work. So in the photography class, you could share your photographs and other people could comment them and such. Now, another website that's really a little bit more narrow and focused is Khan Academy. And there's so much to talk about and so much to like about Khan Academy. It was originally created as a site for, I think it was an uncle to help his nephews with math. So it was really cool. And it evolved into a huge, wonderful, powerful resource that goes far beyond math. But what's incredible about this site is that it is a resource for students at every grade level, and it is organized by grade level. You can have teachers and parents involved in the learning process. And one of the most frightening things that can happen to a parent is have your child walk into the room and ask you for help with their grade 8 math or any grade of math that you haven't done in a while. Well, Khan Academy comes to the rescue. They have everything organized by grade. Khan Academy allows you to go in and say, okay, I'm doing grade 2 math. And they have all the grade 2 math there for you, and you can then go through. And the other thing that I really like about Khan Academy is that they also allow somebody who might have anxiety around learning math in a group to learn it as an individual. So let's say I'm an adult, and let's say I want to learn or review calculus. Well, maybe I haven't done that in a while. It can be very difficult for me to walk into a traditional classroom and just say to myself, oh, I'm going to take a calculus class with a whole bunch of people that are much younger than me. Or maybe I'm like, I need to brush up on algebra. And you might get, I guess we could call it math embarrassment, but you should never be embarrassed about learning, but some people are. Here you can learn and you can practice that skill until you've mastered it and then move on to the next skill. And Khan Academy is designed with that in mind. Now, since going from the math environment, they've expanded out to different areas as well. So they now even have some humanities courses on there. They have some science courses on there, and it's definitely a site worth checking out. Also, it's a site that is free, although I do recommend that if you are using it a fair amount, it would be nice to donate to them. There are some famous people or very wealthy people that have made donations to them in the past, but it really does rely on the community to support it. So I would highly recommend that if you're using it, that you also give them a little bit of support every year just to help them out. So as you've seen, there are so many great ways to learn online and to use online learning to support your classroom learning. So whether it's for personal, professional, academic, or domain-specific learning, the resources are out there for you. Now, I challenge all students to use these resources to never fall behind, to master skills, and to help you succeed. And I challenge all teachers to incorporate these resources into your own classrooms. Help students that are struggling. Challenge students that want to go ahead. One size doesn't fit all, and you can do that. And as artificial intelligence comes out and helps us develop more prescriptive learning models, we're going to find that putting a bunch of people together at the same level isn't going to be what we're doing. We're going to start looking more at how we can respect the individual within the group and do both. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something in this video, and I hope you'll consider subscribing to this channel, sharing this with other colleagues that might benefit from it. This channel does a lot of different content in terms of learning and technology, and this one's more about the learning and setting yourself up for success.